Welcome to the MrpTech Podcast. This is episode 44. My name is Matt, and this is the weekly podcast discussing everyday tech for everyday people. We've got a great show lined up for you today. Thanks for downloading and thanks for listening. Today, first thing I want to do is I want to start off today talking about a brand new show that made its premiere last night, January 22nd. As I was watching the games to see who was going off to the Super Bowl, I saw a commercial discussing a new television show that I think tech enthusiasts would probably appreciate. And the name of that show is it's on CBS. It's called Hunted. And basically the premise of the show is this. It's a giant game of hide and seek. And there are 9 teams of 2 people who are basically part of a real-life manhunt. And it's their goal to attempt to evade law enforcement officials in today's digital world for 28 days in the ultimate goal of reaching $250,000. If they can do it for 28 days, they will get that money. Now, competing against them is a group of law enforcement officials from various agencies around the country, local police departments, federal agencies, FBI, private investigators, NSA agents, all who mostly seem to be retired and are part of this show. They have access to all of the technology that they would have available to them if they were hunting real fugitives. So these contestants, they are notified with no notice that they are on the hunt, and they have 1 hour for a head start to get ahead of these law enforcements. Now, most of these contestants have plans in the works on what they would do if they would be a part of the show. But 1 hour is not a whole lot of time. So as time goes on, I don't want to give any spoilers to this show, but the rules to this show state that these contestants have access to only $500 in an ATM machine, and they can only take $100 out at a time. So these FBI agents have access to anything that they would normally get access to if they were to get a warrant to hunt a fugitive. So they can track your cell phone history, cell phone usage. They can track ATM purchases. They can go into your private house or residences and gather evidence and information on the contestants of the show who are mock fugitives. And it was really an interesting premise because with things like closed-circuit TV and social media and the technology that gives you access to your location at any time, being able to evade those things is an interesting concept that I don't think I've seen before on TV. So these investigators will work towards cracking down on your location, and it's your goal to survive for 28 days. If you'd like to know more about the show, you can find it. It's over at cbs.com/shows/hunted. I'll put the link in the show notes, and definitely encourage all of you to check it out, especially if you're interested in the law enforcement aspect of it or the technology behind what it was. I won't give any spoilers to the show, but some of the things that they did in there really impressed me, and even some of the non-technical abilities that they had or concepts that they used that you wouldn't even think of impressed me. That's all I'm going to say because I don't want to ruin the show for anybody, but I definitely encourage you to check that show out, The Hunted. Next up, I'm going to continue my discussion from several weeks ago regarding Google Apps for Education and Google Certified Educator exams. Now, the last time you heard from me about this, I had just passed my Level 1 Educator exam. And moving forward now, I went on to the Level 2 Advanced Training. Now, the Advanced Training has less to do with the Google apps like Docs and Slides and Forms and such, and more to do with promoting and modeling effective use in the classroom. So you can leverage these learning models to personalize learning for students. You can learn how to use these advanced features to analyze and interpret student data and really create an interactive curriculum for your students. And this helps the students move beyond the walls of your classroom and move into the vast amount of resources available to them online. Now, as I started this process, the last episode, I started off as a skeptic. And as time goes on, I'm finding more and more things valuable to these products. As I went through this training, I started implementing some of this already in my classroom. And I created a HyperDoc lesson, an interactive lesson using Google Docs, and integrated that with Google Classroom for my students to go online, research something, and then collaborate with other students and mark or write thoughts and organized ideas based off of the lesson. And immediately I was blown away by some of the posts that the students were making and some of the creative things that they did that I wasn't expecting. And I'm a pretty, tech savvy person. So automatically I'm seeing the benefits within the first week of implementing some of this stuff for my students, even as a music teacher. So these advanced training, you're working with all of these resources available to get the students to research online. And one of the most powerful tools that I found was Google Scholar. And if you've never heard of Google Scholar, just do a quick Google search for it. It's an advanced search for research, and it's a very powerful tool. I encourage anybody who's doing any type of research out there to use Google Scholar. Just check it out. As I went on and I took the level 2 exam, and as you go through the process, Google starts asking you for feedback regarding the training that they're providing. And I think the free training available for educators is outstanding. Now, when I took the level 2 exam, I found it very difficult, not because of the content of the exam. I knew the content up and down and backwards and forwards. As a teacher who has a master's degree in teaching and curriculum instruction, I took courses for creating examinations that are valid and reliable. And I found many of the questions on the level 2 exam to be not valid. And what I mean by that is the wording in those questions were confusing, and sometimes there was options for more than one answer, just not clear as to what they were really asking for. Again, the materials in the training was excellent. The knowledge that they're providing is great. The test itself, I'm not going to get into any details on it, but I just found some of the questions and the wording quite strange. And maybe they should have had more people look over the questions for that exam. I did take the exam. I did pass the exam, and now I'm a level 2 Google certified educator. And I went on to device training, which talked about Chromebooks and Android devices. And then I went on to the trainer course. Now, the trainer course is not proctored. When you take the trainer exam, it's not proctored. The first 2 levels are proctored. They take website. They turn on your webcam, take pictures of you throughout the exam. And the trainer course more deals with how to approach adults in the education environment and how to convince them that Google Apps for Education is the appropriate way to enhance learning in their classroom. So you're influencing changes in organizations such as school districts. You're designing professional learning, and you're implementing the best coaching practices for each training session that you give. It's all done with the utmost professionalism, and you're really taught exactly what Google's ideas are for use in the classroom for teachers, especially for teachers who are maybe dragging their feet a little bit and don't want to really learn something new or get into new ideas that are going to make them have, quote unquote, more work to do. Ways to encourage them that this is about the students, this is about increasing student learning, increasing what students can do in the classroom, and really providing positive training all the way around for all educators. So I took the trainer exam. It is a 90-minute test. You have 25 multiple choice questions. This, again, I questioned the validity on some of the questions. The way that the questions are structured was just strange. Although I did not spend a whole lot of time on the trainer course. I sort of rushed through it because I wanted to move ahead and I wanted to get on with the Google Certified Trainer certification. And so I passed the training exam. And the next up was the application process. Now, the application process, you have to pass level 1 and pass level 2. And you move forward doing the device training, trainer course. And then you are asked a series of questions by Google that include what types of training you've done in the past, how long have you been a professional speaker, how many years have you been teaching, and then there are 6 or 7 questions that really focus on why you want to be a Google trainer, what's your reasoning behind it, what are some things you're going to do in the future with Google training, and you have up to 200 words for each question that you can write. And for each question, I wrote 200 words exactly, stating my intentions of being a Google certified trainer. The last thing you have to do is you have to submit a video explaining who you are and with a short lesson describing Google Apps for Education and the process of you showing a training session. So I did that and submitted the application, and now we are waiting in a 4 to 6 week waiting period to see if I'm accepted as a Google certified trainer. So I will update you as time goes on for that. I'm really excited because I've started implementing some things here at my school district. And one of those things that I've tried to do, as I mentioned, I've gone from skeptic to sort of enthusiast on these apps. I'm hopeful that they will come across as really great tools. And so I've started a Google Apps for Education training video series for the staff in my district. And I'm making those available to anybody who wants to watch those over on my YouTube channel, MrpTech. Just search that on YouTube. You'll see the MrpTech Reviews channel. And really, the point is to help train staff at my district in use of Google Apps for Education so that when we roll out Chromebooks, once the state approves Chromebook use, the staff is ready to go, and it'll make the rollout much more easy in the future. So that's the goal. And again, it serves a couple of different purposes for me because I get to be a little better at video editing. I get to produce more videos that I get to sort of hone my skills a little bit and improve. That's a goal of mine. And it really works out and it trains everybody in the process. As someone who's looking to be a certified trainer, I do have an app pick today. Most of you may be aware of this, especially if you're in IT. My app pick today is the Google Admin app. And the Google Admin app lets you manage your Google Cloud account on the go, basically. You can add managers and users. You can add groups. You can be the contact and give support. You can view audit logs for your organization. This is for Google Cloud products, G Suite, G Suite for business and education and government. You're given user management features. You can suspend users, restore users, delete users, reset passwords, implement group management features. The list goes on and on. It's a great tool, especially if you're familiar with Google Admin and you just want something that'll give you quick access to the administrator accounts for Google Apps for Education. So just a quick tool, a quick app pick is available for Android and iOS. Certainly something worth checking out if you're in that field. Moving along now, I wanted to talk about something that I've been working on this past week that is exciting from a couple of different standpoints. You may have noticed, if you follow my YouTube channel, that I've been testing live streaming. And there's a couple of different reasons why I was testing live stream. I've been using OBS for the last few months and really enjoy how powerful OBS is. It is a great tool. And I was really interested to learn more about the live streaming feature that it had. So as I learned and I experimented with live streaming, I wanted to just work out the kinks. I wanted to test my podcasting setup. And once I did that, I found it worked really well. Now, this podcast started as an experiment for various ideas and projects that I am involved with. As a music teacher, I run a local big band made up of area music teachers and local professionals, and I am constantly recording live shows with them. And as I tested some of the features with YouTube live streaming for this podcast and my tech reviews, one of the things I started thinking about is, wouldn't it be great if I could get my band to live stream live concerts? So I had a crazy idea over the weekend, and it's a little nerdy, so I'd like to tell you about it. So when I record my band, I'm recording from a Fortadelis mixer into my computer. And so I have my computer connected to the mixer. And what I decided to do is try recording something and then output the recording from the mixer into the audio device that I use for this podcast, which is a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. And then from there, it goes back into the same computer that I'm recording from, into OBS and live streaming out to YouTube. And I was blown away that it actually worked, that the computer resources was only about 20% used. I was able to still record on my Fortadelis mixer, and I was able to output live to YouTube using OBS and creating at least a slideshow right now. So my goal is, after these experiments that I've been trying, to live stream my band in audio only right now. Eventually I might try video. I don't have an HDMI capture card right now for video. I have everything else that I need. And the capture card is something that I probably will use in the future, but not right now. I'm just going to focus on the audio and making sure the audio is correct first. Little incremental steps is how I like to do things. So I'm excited about all these live streaming options. And going back to MRP Tech now, I like the format of audio podcasts. It really works well for me. I like being able to record whenever I can. And so live streaming video really isn't an option for me. However, I might do some sort of live events when I'm reviewing products or that type of thing, or have video-centric topics that I just want to talk about without having to edit a whole lot of things. So if you'd like to learn when I'm going live, just subscribe to my YouTube channel. And looking forward to doing more neat stuff with this as I continue on here. The last topic that I want to talk about today, going back to talking about Google, as I went through this whole process of certifying myself, I started to realize that there was a goal that I set a long time ago that I haven't met yet, and I sort of got distracted from. And in 2009, I came across Linux by accident, and it was a refreshing feeling to try something new and exciting for the first time that had nothing to do with music, had nothing to do with really education as far as I was concerned. And it was something that I could learn on my own, whether it was learning about ISOs and learning about installing operating systems and continuing on and learning how to customize my system to exactly what I want it to, and building systems and breaking systems and rebuilding systems and breaking systems again until I finally figured out the things I should and should not do in Linux. And to me, Linux was so much fun. And I'm anxious to get back into Linux stuff. It's been a few months now since I've been working on Google Apps and Chromebooks and various other things. I've reviewed Android products. And speaking of, I'm still working on the Remix Mini. I'm still working my way through that, and I'm collecting a thought, and I'm going to come back to that in a future episode. But I am super excited to get back into Linux stuff. I want to get back into Linux distros and trying out and seeing all the different distros out there. I sort of found my home, as far as I'm concerned, in Linux distros. So I haven't been distro hopping as much. But I'm really excited about Linux after going through this whole process with Google again. And my goal that I had a long time ago was to... Let me take a step back. What I did was I started taking a look at Linux Academy. And Linux Academy, over at linuxacademy.com, brings you from a very beginner to as advanced as you want to go in the Linux world. And I made my way through the LPIC 1 courses just fine. I even went on to the LPIC 102 exam, and I took all the courses just about for that exam. I did Mastering the Linux Command Line course. I took several other shorter courses at Linux Academy, and I've really learned a lot. And the only thing that I didn't do was take a certification exam. And one of the things I wanted to do was just take the first one just to say, hey, I did something different. I did something new and did something exciting, and I taught myself something that I had no clue about. And worked my way through it, even though it was really hard, worked my way through it. And now I know much more than I did when I first started using it. And this is sort of a message that I want to send to my students who are often learning an instrument for the first time, and it's very difficult. They have to spend hours working hard at what they do to get good at it. And I want to show them, hey, we as teachers do that too. We start new things and we move forward with them and we learn and we constantly improve. And Linux has sort of been that for me. And I really want to get back into it. And it's got me excited to get back into the Linux Academy stuff, because I started Linux Academy when it first came out. They were offering discounted prices in which I couldn't refuse to at least try it. And when I did, not only did I realize that they were great courses and it was super high professional training, but their customer service is excellent. And I don't say that usually about customer service. Anytime that I had questions, I would have a response from Anthony in usually less than an hour. No matter time of day, whenever it was, I would have a response from him. And this happened on more than several occasions. They were professional, they were helpful, they wanted to help you learn, and I couldn't have anything nicer to say about Linux Academy. And the reason I'm saying this is because just recently I had an issue with my account on Linux Academy, and I wasn't sure exactly what happened. It was an issue where I thought something strange had happened in my account, and my account policy itself seemed to be different than it was when I first started signing up. And I sent an email to customer service, and again, within an hour, I had a response. It wasn't what I thought it was. It was just something behind the scenes that they were doing. And I was super impressed with how friendly they were. And again, just great service over at Linux Academy. So this isn't an ad for them. In fact, in the past, I've actually almost considered several times about having a segment each week on Linux Academy. I don't know if I would want to do that. I don't know if anybody out there would want me to do that, a new task each week of what I'm learning in Linux. But I think I'm going to go through the 102 course again for the LPIC exam and see if that's something that I want to do and complete in the future. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's got me excited again. All this stuff I've been working on in the last few weeks has got me excited in going back and taking a look at Linux again, because I've seemed to have abandoned that for a little bit. So that's going to do it for this week. Thanks so much for listening. Next week, I hope to really get back into the Linux stuff. If you have feedback for me, please send me an email, mrptechreviews@gmail.com. Check out all the great shows over at podnuts.com. We've got a lot of great things coming down the pipeline, and that's going to do it for this week. So we'll see you next time.